Okay, now time for part 2. Hello everyone, welcome to the Watch Poplars. The video stopped because I accidentally somehow pressed the end button on the video. But on this part, I will be collecting Aurelia californica seeds. And this is part 2 of rebellious behavior in the gorge. So this colony is not producing seeds this year. Maybe it has at some point, but you know, some years are good, some years are bad. It's always different every year. But you know, this would be a good place to clear out the ivy on the ground around the native plants that are sprouting through it so that they get light. But leaving the ivy around it to keep the soil stable until more native plants are fully established. And then, you know, this place should be like ferns everywhere. Ferns everywhere. And it should be held together by the great big roots of redwoods. But these, you could see, I mean, those are almost as tall as me. They're up to my neck in height. I really knew that, I don't know, I just had a feeling that the video was going to end before I could intentionally finish it. But I'm just gonna make up for it by making a second part. And besides, that video was very long. It was like half an hour, which, you know, should be considered long. You know, usually professional videographers would make it a lot more short than that, and they would use something like a Nikon camera where they can sit down on a surface and be clearly in view and film. But here, under this tree it fell, and like I think it fell in July. I think maybe it fell in June. It probably fell when I was gone in Colorado. And when I first saw this tree, I was up there, and these leaves were green. They were wilting, but they were green. Now, I'm gonna just drop my breath. So, this is a metal ball that I found on one of my adventures with one of my friends. I don't know what the fuck it is. What the fuck is this? Looks like a cannonball. But anyway, time to collect Aurelia seeds. I got my pill container. That, you know, this is one way to reuse your pill containers. Do not, you know, kind of stash on these so much that you have an overflowing of these pill containers. You only need a few. But even just saving a few is enough. You're putting them to use, even though you're not putting all of them to use, aside from recycling. But I'm going to use this to collect seeds. Now, if I see another interesting thing that I like, I will collect seeds from that. But mainly, I'm here for the Aurelias, because they're the ones that need to be. These are the ones that need to get into the nurseries. I don't know how. I think it's a crime. It is a crime that people have not recognized this. I've told tens of people about this, dozens, and they've never heard of this plant before. Aurelia californica, Aureliaceae. I don't know how this has gone so unnoticed and underappreciated. But if you cross a bridge in those redwood forests in, like, I don't know, Marin County or northward, you're gonna see this you're gonna see Aurelia californica all over the place. And it's gonna be nice. You're gonna have no idea what it is. And you're just gonna think it's a big plant. Until, you take a picture. Download iNaturalist. Or, if you see that little star sparkly thing in the bottom center of the screen that has an eye or a leaf on it, you press on that or swipe up on the image, and it will show you a Siri suggestion. It will probably be this. Now, Siri knowledge is not as knowledgeable as iNat, so I recommend iNat instead. So there's the most density over there. I'm going to try to get over there, but it's probably very difficult. So the tree fell on here. It crushed a bunch of them. It actually killed a lot of them. So there's just old leaves. Kind of just, they're old leaves. So that was unfortunate. They didn't get the Peru seed, but with the ones remaining, I can definitely do so. Collecting. Spreading the seeds, not collecting. It's gotta go in my collection. I gotta have it in my collection. So during winter, there would be normally a waterfall visible right there, and I see the moss where the waterfall is, and it's actually quite audible during winter when it rains. It's always trickling during winter, but now it's dry, and there's a bunch of clay. The soil here, there's a spring right here. That's nice. So the Aurelias, they always love moisture. They need sopping wet feet. Now, not they don't need bog wet feet. They just need feet wet enough to not go yellow in July or earlier. So, and they need lots of shade to get really big. And I think in the sun, they wouldn't do so well. But you can see if there's any Aurelias. So here, now these leaves, I think the whole entire stalk is it's just soft plant tissue. It does not lignify. It does not form wood. The only part that does form wood is what's underground. And that stays alive during winter. There's probably a lot of spiders here. I already collected seeds from this plant here, but I want to collect others. There's also poison oak here. I'm probably brushing up against a lot of it. And it smells, I smell the Aurelias and I smell the bay laurels. It's absolutely intoxicating. I don't think this one produced seed, but there are so many more options further upstream. So I'm gonna go do that, because obviously I'm gonna have to wait until all of this dead tree debris kind of settles down, and that would probably be at least 5 years from now. So that's it. Honestly, it's fine. I can do that. I can wait. I'll keep going here. Even when I'm up in Eureka, when I'm actually at my true college. Right now I'm just in a preparational college near Mount Diablo. But, I cleared out this little area, so it's like a tunnel of dead foliage. Now I'm gonna actually go all the way to the end of the creek. I don't think I've ever shown you that before. So let's do it. You can see that the goats, they have done a good job cutting the ivy, but they did not get the stems. They only like the leaves. Now goats are probably able to tolerate the smells that emit from ivy. It does smell nice. Some people think it smells horrible. I think it smells okay. I would not season my food with it if it was edible. but it smells okay. Just almost fell. There's a trash can here. So here's another area of Aurelias. I don't know how well this has survived the goats. Hopefully it is in the same family, so I worry that it might be a food source for the goats. But it looks like they mostly just trampled the Aurelias. They didn't eat the Aurelias. The ivy is not an Aurelia. It is related to the Aurelias. You could say it's an Aurelioid. Even though it's not in... I don't think the Aurelia family is big enough to have an Aurelioideae subfamily or tribe. So I don't see any seeds on these ones. Let's keep moving. Also, I don't know if you saw this, but I'm zoomed out. Look at my outfit. Look. I look so weathered. I don't know. This is usually how I like dressing, but I don't know what I'm saying. I'm gonna stop talking. I do not know how to word, but I just really like dressing like this because I love camouflaging. I see the Aurelias that are actually producing lots and lots of seeds. So hopefully the goats keep going here and they prevent the ivy from even photosynthesizing by eating them so much. The petioles of the leaves, the leaf stems, they're also good. I also like the plants that are growing here thanks to the lack of ivy here. There is a fucking massive bay laurel right there. That's 30 feet, at least 30 feet in circumference with a big fucking boulder in it. I'll show you it up close. So here, I guess there's one going on this hillside. It's just one. Just two. But not a lot of them form seeds and flowers. You just gotta find a clump that's very, very big in order to have a look. But they probably just form that every year until it gets big enough that they can flower. Kind of behaving sort of like a monocarpic plant, like agave, except they're not monocarpic. They're part of a root system. So maybe the stalks are monocarpic, but one step. I don't know. I really don't know. I really don't know. Oh, that was nice. I was zoomed out, but there was an owl. There's a huge owl that just flew. So here, this is the tree. It is absolutely huge. And you can see, here the leaves are scale. My hand would be fucking tiny. My hand is as big across. The leaves are as big they're as long as my hand. So, yeah, I would be very, very tiny compared to this huge tree. There used to be a big stalk that went up like that. I guess a boulder kind of fell and hit one of the sprouts that came out of the base of it. Now they form really huge burrows, and they too are starting to form sprouts out of those. So who knows? I dear fucking hope this tree is preserved for a very long time, because this deserves to be recognized. It's growing out of a crack in the rock that is now completely swallowed by the root base. Now this is bonsai inspiration for California bay laurels. This is a huge tree and is probably more than a century year old. You can see the roots that spread out in all directions, weaving in and out of the rocks, especially over there, just all over the place, coming out of the burrows. in every single direction. This is so cool. And this is a tree that I would go to so often. It's just quite a ways away. And it's just so nice to look at. There's also a lot of younger ones that also have cool root bases. There's this one here. There's one over there that has some interesting root. Kind of, it looks like the root is fin-shaped. It's meandering like the root of a ficus. There's a nice radial root spread right there. Yeah, this is a really nice place to go for bonsai inspiration. For the bay laurels. I don't know how easy these go from cuttings. It would definitely have to be from a branch that's stronger than this in order to get the best success. And, you know, trying it with a dozen without root hormones and a dozen with root hormones. And seeing how easy they grow. They're in the avocado family and laurel family, Lauraceae. There's another root base right there. It's a very symmetrical spread. It goes like that. Yeah, they're also kind of buttressed like a ficus. Very interesting. So whenever I see something nice like that, or like an old tree or some features, my nice side comes back, and I don't get so angry, and I don't have a snarl on my face like I do when I am removing invasive plants. Consider this, and also consider this member of the asparagus family, Asparagaceae. When this flowers, it has 3 sepals and 3 petals. Now they all look like petals. It just looks like 6 petals, but it's okay. If you don't want to get into the nooks and crannies of botany and horticulture, it's okay. I don't blame you. It's very, very complex, and I went through that when I was in that class I took in earlier this year. But all the berries have fallen off. But there would be red berries. Well, berry looking things. They wouldn't actually be berries, but they would be round and coconut shaped, but with a subtle triangular shape, like 3 rounded sides. But it's really nice. It's a monocot. They do not form branches. And if they do, like these leaves, if you prune back to these leaves, it will not form a branch. It will just keep extending out of that place you cut it. And that's what monocots do. But you can see the parallel veination is pretty much with every single monocot on the planet. They all have parallel veination. Unlike this, for example, the Aurelias do not have parallel veination. They have veins that come off of a central one. This is not a monocot. This is a sporophyte. This is an evergreen sporophyte. It's a fern. I don't know. I think no. This does not count as a monocot because when these sprout, it does not have 2 cotyledons. They do not have 2 juicy, fat, and succulent-like things like this. This is heterohelix. This is English ivy. This is an English ivy seedling. And how I know is because I have seen, a few weeks after, you start to get these ivy leaves, and you see those are the cotyledons, and they vary in size, but when you plant the squash seeds, they get fat cotyledons. Oh, this mosquito. It's the first mosquito I've seen in like months. But here, they're starting to produce the actual leaves that start to look more like ivy leaves. More ivy seedlings. Starting to develop the ivy leaves. The cotyledons are always opposite. But eventually they form the actual leaves, which are in a spiral arrangement. They look like they're in random spots along the stem, but you have a leaf, and then 8 leaves above that one, there is a leaf that points in the exact same direction as that leaf. Here's another ivy seedling. I have spiders crawling all over my phone. So it rained here a few days ago, quite moderately. I was so happy to see that. The soil is probably a little bit slightly moist from that, especially in this cool, shady area. And I think before that I went on an adventure with a friend. Everything was bone dry. The creek was probably still flowing like this. This is very risky. This is a place where I could break my ass if I fall, so I'm not gonna jump. Because even with this traction and the hiking boots, I'm gonna slip and really fuck myself up. Okay, so the Aurelias are here. It is towards the end of seed collecting time for these plants, so I better do this now. There is very, very few seeds on there. Now I'm trying to grow, I plan to grow these in mass quantities, each in their own pot, and have all of them sprout. I am missing the cake ceremony for my brother's birthday, however, but you know, I wish I was there at that moment and then I could teleport back up here and continue. So here, I don't know why they're covered in soot, but I think it's from the bay laurels or some kind of insect on them. But there's a few, and they are almost completely, almost every single seed has fallen off. So this is my chance. A lot of them have already fallen off, so it will not hurt to collect all that remain. But here, okay, be careful about this because they're all ready to fall off. So here's what they look like. Just like an ivy seed, ivy flower, or it's an umbel. It is a stem with a cluster of radial little stemlets that kind of come out, and just like the ivy flowers over there that look exactly like this. So I don't know how I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna put my phone down. So yeah, you know what, I'm gonna actually show you how big these are from a distance. So I'm gonna prop my phone up so that you can actually see how big these are. It's really nice. Now I'm pulling out these forget-me-nots because they're not invasive. They're not native, and kind of a weed. They're an escaped ornamental. I have a lot of it in my yard. Okay, let's see. How does this do? I do not want any plants to make contact with the screen because that's going to stop the video, or it's going to screw something up, like the focus, because they have water in them. They have electromagnetic. No, they don't have. I don't know what causes us to be able to control a screen, but it could be electromagnetic stuff. I think a piece of wood it will not cause that kind of effect. But I just I'll show you. That works. Let me see the view that you have. Okay, that's good. Okay, here we go. They come off very easily. At this time of year. Almost too easily. Okay, I just broke it. It's okay. But therefore, it's not going to fling back and launch the seeds in the other direction. There are mosquitoes everywhere. Now there is another one over there. There's another flower head. There's two more flower heads. Actually, there's three. There's one right here that has more seeds. So I'll be doing those off camera. I left a few. Now I'm gonna try getting this one. Hold on. I've never seen a seedling from these ones before. So I'm very excited. In late February, when these sprout, I'm going to see what they look like. Okay, got that one. So I don't think I think I had it paused the whole time. But, you know, I collected a whole bunch of them. You could see, oh, maybe the camera, okay, there. You can see all of them. So, that's the quest fulfilled of collecting the Aurelia seeds. So that is all for today. Thanks for joining me here among the watch poplars and the Aurelias.